Namaskar. Team Hingori Sutras welcomes you to this session of In Conversation with Dr. Surya Tahora. Advaita Vedanta refers to the non-dualistic school of Indian philosophy, which is derived mostly from the Upanishads and elaborated in details by eminent scholars like Gautapada and Sri Adi Shankaracharya. Advaita school believes that Brahman is the one and only reality, and everything else is mere appearance, projection, formation, illusion, or maya. There are 4 Mahavakyas that explain this philosophy, one of them being twam, meaning thou art that, or you are the one. To understand this philosophy, we have with us Dr. Surya Tahora. Dr. Surya Tahora has a unique combination of personal background, international exposure, and an education which makes him an inspiring writer and teacher. What is most inspiring is that after working in the corporate world for several years with companies like the L'Oreal Group and Air France in international marketing and strategic planning, both in Paris and Bangkok, he gave up all that to make a difference in the world through Indian philosophy. He combines his understanding of modern society with the knowledge of Indian philosophy in such a unique manner that, to impart a wisdom that is highly relevant in our present lives. His quest for answers led him to study Indian philosophy with Swami Dayanand Saraswati, a well-known contemporary teacher of Advaita Vedanta. Dr. Tahora is a scholar in Sanskrit. He has also completed a doctorate in pharmaceutical science from Paris University and an MBA. Phew, this is a long call. He is currently director, Center for Wisdom in Leadership, and professor at SP Jain Institute of Management and Research, Mumbai. He teaches spirituality and management for MBA and executive MBA students. Since 1999, Dr. Surya and his wife, Nima Majmudar, have been conducting seminars and retreats across the world, both in English and French. He has translated and published in French several books of his teacher, Swami Dayanand Saraswati. A very warm welcome to you, Dr. Tahora, and like to say in French, bienvenue. I don't know if I've got that right, but आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है. Dr. Tahora, can you hear me?
Yes, very much. So should I continue in French? No, yeah. I will continue in English. Okay. So I hope our audience will get used to my French accent, and we'll have a good time also having some questions and answer after my talk. Okay. So thanks for the big introduction, and let's try to do some justice to this subject, which is a big subject. In fact, Tatvamasi, the subject matter, when Anjali contacted me and said, "Oh, you have 40 minutes to speak about Tatvamasi." So I said, "Okay, yeah, we'll try to do it." Okay, so I will try to give you enough insight to give you the gist of the whole vision of Vedanta. So in 40-45 minutes. Okay, and first of all, I would like to just come back to what is Vedanta and what is Upanishad. Okay, and Vedanta refers to a portion of the Veda, of these ancient Vedas, and which are also names, either Vedanta at the end of the Veda, or which are called also Upanishad. Okay, so what is this Vedanta, or what is the subject matter of this Upanishad? It's very simple. In fact, we can call it a traditional teaching, an ancient teaching, which is meant to unfold the truth or the reality of oneself, me as an individual, you, the world in which we live, and also the cause of the universe. Is there a cause? And if there is a cause, what is the nature of this cause? So it's an amazing subject matter, right? And in the vision of Vedanta, these three elements of the individual, the world, and also the cause of the universe, in fact, are resolving into one non-dual essential reality, in spite of the differences. Okay, so we'll see that more in detail. So a few words about this tradition of teaching, which is that it happens to, to originate in India, and India happens to enjoy this privilege. Okay, but I would like to say it's not just for India. In fact, it belongs to the whole humanity. Okay, and we'll see why. Because it's relevant to any human being. Okay? And what it is not. Okay, so it is not a school of thought, as it was mentioned in the introduction. It is not a philosophy. It's not a religion. It's not a set of beliefs sustained by an organization. It's not just about doing some practices which are like esoteric, mobilizing the mind and breathing and the body and so on. Vedanta is not making any promise. Vedanta is not asking us to adhere blindly to some beliefs. Rather, what it is, it's amazing. And being with the science background that I have, this is what had the most appeal for me. It is an exploration into realities. It is in the form of an inquiry of these three elements. What is this universe? What is the nature of this individual, right? Is there a cause, as I said, right? So this is one of the beautiful characteristics of Vedanta. Then another important characteristic is that it's a knowledge, which has been handed down from guru and shishya. Then the shishya, when he learns from his guru, in his turn, he becomes a guru, and he shares whatever he has understood from other people. So there is therefore this teaching, let's say, tradition, what is called in Sanskrit sampradaya, okay, which has survived till today, right? It's amazing. The origin comes to the beginning of time since they are humans until now, right? And this is why I'm speaking to you, for example, right? So what is important here, it has a teaching methodology, okay? It doesn't just stop at saying big words that you are infinite and eternal and you are limitless and you are the truth of everything. And then you have to figure out, right? Or go to some experience to realize this truth. No, right? On the contrary, Vedanta is characterized by using words in a very deliberate manner, very elaborately, and unlock the meaning of the words in a language which happens to be Sanskrit, but I can teach you in French if you want, or in English. It can be taught in any language, right? Provided that you have imbibed with you this teaching methodology, okay? And it welcomes any doubts, any questions. And I remember when I was studying, how many doubts and questions I had. And they were all open. They were all welcome. And they were addressed one by one, systematically, in time, obviously. And what is important here, third characteristic, is that this tradition of teaching requires a teacher who can handle the word, therefore who has been exposed to this methodology for a certain number of years, right? And also a student who is open, who is receptive, who has a certain level of maturity, okay? And who is a mumukshu. What is a mumukshu? Somebody who is like seeking for answers, a seeker of freedom, okay? And I will stop here the general introduction on what is Vedanta, but what I can tell you, it's a tradition of blessing, okay? Which can really make you see yourself and the world as it is, okay? Now, what is the subject matter of this ancient tradition, which has come down to us? And why is it relevant to us? Right? You can ask this question. This is totally obsolete. What is the pertinence in my life now? Right? And in fact, it's very interesting. As I said, it's valid for any human being. So why do I say that? Very simply. So let me use one word instead of speaking about samsara and so on. My teacher used to speak about one thing, which is the characteristic of the human condition. So what is it? Being a ninja. Okay. You all know what is a ninja, I'm sure. A ninja who is fighting, this martial arts guy who is all the time confronting and having to deliver so many fights with many people and so on, and has weapons with him and so on, right? So what does it mean? Okay, this ninja, this human being, he has likes and dislikes, okay? He has desires. He wants the world to be in a certain way. He wants events to occur in a certain way. Okay. And he believes, and this is why he's called a ninja, he believes the world is against him, constitutes an obstacle to his accomplishment of or fulfillment of his desire. Okay. And in the process of trying to fulfill these desires, where there's so much struggle, obviously bound to be some fear, some anxiety, disappointment, sadness, guilt, hurt, and shame, right? But not only that, see, the life of a ninja is also sometimes there are some moments of joy, of satisfaction, right? I got what I wanted. There are some moments of relief, right? So there is dukkha, there is difficulty, there is hardship, but there is also sukha. So dukkha, 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 sukha, sukha, sukha. Dukkha, dukkha, sukha, dukkha, sukha, dukkha, sukha. This is the life of a ninja, right? It's amazing. He wants to get what he does not have, get it with him, possess it, acquire it, and retain. And he wants to avoid what he doesn't like. And he wants to really get rid of what he doesn't like and he has, right? This is the ninja, always trying to manipulate things and situation and relationship to have this. Always at war with the world, people, situations, right? This is the ninja, a life of perpetual becoming. But what does it show, this ninja, this condition of a ninja? It shows a symptom of basic self non-acceptance, a basic sense of dissatisfaction. Right? So it's very interesting. I want to see myself in a different light than what I feel I am now, right? Because I want to see myself at peace, content, fulfilled, right? So there is a beautiful sentence in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. She's saying, Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. So which means very simply, all these pursuits that I do across so many domains, okay, of pleasures, economic addition, rise in social status, comfort, power, fame, influence, whatever end I pursue is only for what? For myself. Atmanastu kamaya. Sarvam priyam bhavati. Right? Isn't it beautiful? Why? Okay? Because I want to have this peace and this fulfillment and this sense of, yeah, I am okay now with myself. I am okay with the world. I have the world as it is and the people. Right? Now, the question, what is interesting here, you can ask, when will this ninja, or will he ever get this peace he's looking for? Will he ever find lasting fulfillment? Will he ever accept himself or not? So it seems that the way he's going about it seems to be a losing war, right? It's amazing. And why? This is where the Upanishad says, hey, this is the basis upon which you're operating, right? And this war that you call living is not necessary, says the Upanishad. Hey, the Upanishad's attempt is to say, yeah, I acknowledge your predicament, but then I can help you. I can help you to remove this ninja twam, this sense of dissatisfaction, of non-acceptance from you. Because it's only due to self-confusion, right? Of mistaken identity. And this sense of fulfillment, of feeling the whole, complete, can only come, right, from a recognition that there is no reason to fight in the first place, right? Because I am already free. I am already full. And this is the beauty, right, of this teaching. And the cause of this dissatisfaction, and therefore of this ninja, right, is really the ignorance about your real nature, right? And what the Upanishad reveal is that you are already what you are looking for. You are already limitless. And there seems to be a big difference between who I think I have concluded, who I have concluded I am, small, significant, and I want to better to get this and avoid this, right? And what the Upanishad are revealing to me as being my true nature, right? So this is why there is a lot of teaching required, right? You see from where we are starting and from where the Upanishad wants to take us, which is already our nature. So a lot of teaching is required here, right? So this is why I said 40 minutes is short, okay? I will try to give you the gist, right? But really, here, it requires effort to assimilate whatever the teaching will tell us, whatever the Upanishad will tell us, because it negates some preconception, some orientation, some very well entrenched beliefs and conclusion about us being limited, right? So you see that, okay? So this is where, it's amazing. This is where this equation comes. So this equation, we summarize the whole vision of the Upanishad, is in the form of an equation, okay? Equation. So what does it mean, equation? Tat twamasi, okay? So I will use very simple words to communicate what this tat tvam asi means. Okay? I will not go to jivatma and brahmatma and so on. Okay, let's use some simple direct language here. Right? I can speak in Sanskrit and load you with a lot of Sanskrit. I don't think it's necessary. Just a few here and there I will use words in Sanskrit. Okay, so this tvam is what? You, I. The Upanishad is addressing me, the individual, this jiva, right? And what is tat? That. Okay, and what that stands for? It stands for the cause of the entire universe. Okay? So you may call this that whatever name you want. You may call it God or Brahman or the Lord or whatever. But we'll see. Okay, we'll try to clarify all this and don't use words which can confuse us. Okay, this is my promise to you. Okay? So now, this equation, look at this. Me, this individual, I am equated to the cause of the universe. Right? So on one side, you have me, the struggling me, the ninja me, the limited me, the dissatisfied me, limited from the standpoint of my body, okay, from my mind. Of course, I can do many things, okay, but still, it's limited. I may mobilize more of my potential, but still, I'm limited, right? Body-wise, mind-wise, my memory. Of course, I can mug up pages and pages. There are some scholars or some pundits who can recite the Veda during 3 days without interruption, almost. You can imagine the number of pages they hold there in their memory. But what is it compared to only the number of pages and information which is available on the web. Ridiculously, insignificantly small. So I'm limited also on my memory. My capacity to know things, limited, right? Now what else? My capacity to change things, to get what I want, limited. I'm subject to disease. I'm subject to old age. I live only, let's say, 100 years. What is it compared to 14 billion years of this universe? I occupy only this space. Right? So on one side, you have this twam, this limited individual. And the other side, what do you have? Let's say for the time being, infinite knowledge and power. So how is it possible? What is this equation? Doesn't make sense. It's impossible to find this equation acceptable as it is presented. So in fact, look at this, listen. Any equation is the same. Otherwise, it's not called an equation. Let's take an equation, for example, 3 plus 2 on one side is equal to 4,965 minus 4,960. Okay, both sides are dissimilar, yes, right? Or you take another equation, maybe one of the most famous equation in physics, E equal to mc squared. Both sides are apparently dissimilar, but still there is, by the very fact that there is an equation, right? It means that there is something, there's a point of resolution of this equation. Otherwise, there will not be any equation. So where is the point of resolution of this equation? And this is what we'll do now, right? And for that, we need to inquire in both sides of the equation. So we'll start by the side which is twam, I, the nature of I, right? The nature of this individual. And then we'll go to Tat and we will resolve the equation. Okay? So if you start by the analysis of the word I, you, okay? If I ask you, who are you? Right? Who are you? How would you define yourself? How would you define your identity? Okay? So small step, oh, I am Surya. Okay? You give a name. Now, I'm not asking you your name. I am asking you, who are you? Oh, I am the son of so and so. Okay? And I'm the friend of this and this. I am the colleague of this and this. Right? And so on. The cousin, whatever, you can go on. But here, I'm not asking you who you're related to. Okay? I'm asking you who you are. Of course, relationship can define you to some extent, but there's this relationship that change all the time. Can you be defined by something which is changing all the time? Friends will come and go. Even your family, your parents, your status as a son or daughter will go. One day when your parents will be gone. Colleagues and so on, we know very well, right? So let's go further. Who are you? Oh, let's be simple. Oh, I am 1 meter 72 centimeters tall. My weight is 73 kilograms. I am a man. My eyes are light brown. My hair, or whatever is remaining of my hair, is a mix of black and much more now white. Okay. So when I define myself in terms of my body, it's interesting, right? Because it's true, right? For some standpoint, it's true. But let's look a little bit further. You say that you are as good as your physical body, right? The characteristic, the height and so on, dimension, color, of your body define you? Is it true? So same question. Now, your physical body from baby to now, you're an adult, has undergone tremendous changes. Your body has around 40, let's say 40, 50 trillion cells, trillion cells. And every second, 1 million cells are dying. Don't worry about it. I mean, the body knows how to handle that, okay? So the entire body is changing constantly and is replaced totally every, let's say, 7 to 10 years, with some part of your body who are changing every 2-3 days, like the stomach, some other part like the bones, which is every 10 years. But on average, the entire body is totally renewed, totally, in 10 years. And you say you are your body? And you define yourself on the basis of your body? Oh, okay, that's true. Because as everything is changing, I am still there. So I must be something else than my body, something more than my body. Okay? Oh, I am hungry. I am thirsty. I am healthy. I am sick. I am feverish. So here you're defining yourself by what? By physiological condition. The same remark. This physiological condition also keep on changing all the time, right? Every second, your condition of your body, your physiology is changing as you're breathing, digesting, and so on, right? So let's introduce a new word now. They seem to be related somehow to you, to I, but at the same time, since they are coming and going, they are incidental attributes. You understand the word incidental? Coming and going, related somehow, but not an intrinsic attribute to me, right? Okay, now, it's just an incidental attribute. So who is the entity? This I am speaking about, I am trying to know what is its nature, right? What is it? Well, let's go to the mind. Oh, I am generally a cheerful guy. Or we can say, generally I'm grumpy. Right? So same remark. The emotional landscape in the day itself is changing also all the time, right? So many differently changing emotion you're experiencing every day. So how can you say that? One replaces the other. So again, incidental attribute, right? Another one now. So maybe I'm not just emotion. It's true, yeah. Emotion are fleeting and so on. I must be something which is the domain of the intellect. Yeah, I am quite a quick learner and I can understand things well. Is it true? Are there not things that you don't understand or you take more time to understand? Of course, generally, yeah, you are quite smart, yeah. But here again, you're referring to what? To one quality or property of your mind, which is what? Your ability to grasp, reason, right? Use inference, deduction, and so on, right? Analytical thinking. And that also is changing. As you're thinking and you have 60,000 thoughts a day, every day. So if you are as good as your thoughts or your analytical capacity, when it's changed and it's replaced by anything, or when it's deteriorating, right? What can you conclude? No, incidental attribute. Okay. So what am I then? Right? Oh, it's very simple. I am a doctor. I am an engineer. I am a professor. I am an artist, a designer, whatever. Again, relates to some part of your mind related to your education, qualification, and so on. And that we know very well, okay? How many changes have you had in your education from the time you were a kid and you went to school, right? Now we know that any degree is only valid for 4 or 5 years. Now there is this concept of continuous learning, right? So again, this is also incidental attribute. Yeah, it's true from some aspect. Yes, we're not denying that, but it cannot be me. Now, then what am I? So interesting here. Maybe I have my memories. See, what is memory? This autobiographical self that you can build about yourself, right? Your CV, okay? Or what you put on your LinkedIn page or Facebook to describe all what you have done and so on, and all the memories of all you have accomplished so far. Yeah, it's true. It's part of you. But same incidental attribute comes and goes and varies as things continue to evolve in time. Memories also change. Your whole biographies change. Right? So I cannot be that. So what is it here? What the Upanishad is trying to say is that, hey, we are holding on, or we are investing and concluding that we are as good as the qualities or the attributes of our body or mind, right? Or even sensors, right? But in fact, it's a case of mistaken identity, right? And this mistake, this ignorance of who you are is universal. Any human being will say the same thing. But when you show them through exploring what is their nature, then they conclude, oh, it's true. So there seems to be something which is surviving all this changing and coming and going, which seems to be the real me. And all the rest is incidental. It's not intrinsic, right? This is amazing. So an example for that, very simple. The example that of the roles that an actor plays. An actor A can play several roles. Of a beggar, one day he's in this theater, he plays the role of a beggar. Another theater, he plays the role of let's say a prince. And the other day he plays another role. 3 roles he plays. So the roles are him, but is he the role? No. The roles are incidental attributes to him. The only thing, the only entity which is invariable is what? The actor. And he assumes roles, right? So the roles depend very much upon the actor to be what they are. Without the take out the actor, there is no more role. But the actor doesn't depend upon the roles to be who he is. Look at this. Incidental, intrinsic. So what is this entity? This is what the Upanishad is saying now. What Vedanta is telling us through this inquiry, right, is that what you are is what is invariably present in the midst of all these changes we are occurring at all these different levels, as we have seen, right? And this presence, this entity, which doesn't come and go, which doesn't grow and decline, okay, is called chit or awareness. This chit which is in Satchidananda, right? And that is I. This is your real nature. And this I is self-evident. It means now, if I ask you, who are you existing or not? I am. I am. Not I am tall, I am 170 centimeters, and so on. I am. Just I am. And this I am is this self-evident awareness. Right? What is amazing is that you cannot objectify this. You can objectify your mind, you can objectify your thoughts, your emotion, condition of your body, but you cannot objectify yourself. It's already there. I am. Doesn't need to be objectified also, right? And in the presence of this I, this self-evident awareness, the changes of my body occur, of my mind, of my emotion, of my thoughts, of my intellectual capacities, of my senses, of my memories. All these become known to me, right? and they never displace or affect this I, this self-evident awareness. Okay? So this is where the Upanishad shows you, okay, methodically, the nature of yourself. Right? Now, let's go to the other side of the equation. What is that? Tat, the nature of that. Okay. So the question, why do you need this? Why don't we stop at, oh, I am awareness, which is limitless, never changing? Because one question remains, right? Okay, maybe I am awareness. Okay. But how did the whole universe come about? How did all these bodies and mind and these mountains and these trees and these galaxies come about? What is the cause of this universe? If there is one, what is his nature? So the second part of the equation looks into what is the nature of that, right? And here, look at this. Now listen attentively. When I look at this universe, what do I see? I see that everything is arranged in a complex, intelligent, organized manner, right? A marvelous balance. Everything is amazingly and intelligently put together. This body, where I've been speaking about, these 50 trillion cells, working together in harmony, right? There is an order there. There is so much intelligence in this body. In your neurons, 100 billion neurons firing all the time, electrical connection, chemical release, and so on. 100 billion neurons and connections which are 10 times more. There is an amazing order also there. Order means there are laws at work. There is so much knowledge which governs the behavior of all this, right? In my capacity to understand things, now you are trying to understand what I'm saying. Hey, what is this guy saying? This capacity to know also and to understand and get insights, that also is governed by an order. It's called an epistemological order, the order of knowing, right? Removing ignorance, right? In my interaction with other human beings, there is also an order. What is this order? Sociological order or psychological order. The emotions that occur when I meet people, amazing order there, and which is studied by all these people who look at the mind and the behavior, trying to get some cause and effect relationship between how the people behave and what is their background, right? Order, intelligence, knowledge there, right? Now, if you look at the galaxies and the planets and the stars and how this entire universe came about 14 billion years ago, look at this. The immensity of this knowledge which is at work is mind-boggling. Right? Physical order. Then you take all the plants and the vegetable kingdom and so on. Again, so much order. All the apparition of the life forms on this planet and how they evolve. Again, order. Again, knowledge. Okay? So there is an order, there is an arrangement, there is a network of laws of cause and effect at multiple levels. So this leads me naturally to conclude what? Hey, there must be something which is handling all the laws, because those laws are not independent from each other. They're all integrated to give me this experience I have as a human. Right? It's amazing. And here the assumption of the Upanishad is what to say, hey, to be able to create this universe, okay, this being who is the creator of the universe must necessarily have all knowledge and power. So look at this. Just like a creator of a pot, a clay pot, must have the knowledge of the pot, how to make it, the skills also to make it. The creator, the cause of the entire universe must have what? All knowledge and all power, right? So this is the idea. So the Upanishad is pointing out to us the presence of an intelligent being. They call it Ishvara or whatever name you want to give it to it, right? That created the universe. Now, it seems that this Ishvara is like, what is different? Vedanta is saying the same thing as all the other sacred scripture from all over the world. Now, there is some higher power, there is some intelligence, some energy, and so on, whatever. Okay? So let's see. No. Look at this. Now, anything which is intelligently put together, right, has two causes. One, it is an intelligent cause, which is this efficient cause. Okay, in Sanskrit, nimitta karan. Forget the Sanskrit. And a material cause, upadana karan. Okay, so for example, to create a pot, what do you need? You need a pot maker, who is the efficient cause, and you need what? Some material out of which the pot maker will then shape the clay to have this pot, right? Now, what is the material cause of the universe? I accept that there is an intelligent cause. It's quite clear. What is the material cause? Tell me. Where did this so-called efficient cause find the material to create the universe? Now, if you say, no, he found it in the one corner of the universe, and then he used that to then bring the universe about, then you are trapped, my friend, because what? It presupposes what you're saying, that the universe was already created and there was already a pre-existing material. So I can ask you, okay, so this God that you're speaking about is relying upon another God, was like put some huge, let's say, material for this universe. So then where did that other God come? And you can go there in infinite regression. The only solution to that logical possibility is that the universe, the efficient cause, is the same as the material cause. It's a big statement. Usually pot maker and clay are different in our day-to-day experience. But now I'm told by the Upanishad, hey, they are the one and the same, because logically it's impossible otherwise. And you cannot also create the universe out of nothing. Nothing comes out of nothing. So there must be something. And this something is only all knowledge and all power. So how do we understand and assimilate that, right? It's not easy to assimilate because it seems to be contradicting our experience. To help us assimilate that, it's amazing. The Upanishad themselves gives us an example of the dream. Right? So look at that. Every night you're dreaming and you're projecting, you're creating a dream world, right? So you are the creator of the dream world. So you have the power and the intelligence, the capacity to create a dream world several times a night and night after night, right? Now, what is a material out of which any object in the dream world, any mountain, any sun, any human being, and even yourself in the dream sometimes, what is the stuff out of which anything which is in the dream is made of? Yourself. Based on your memory and your knowledge that you have in the waking, this is what will be projected in the dream and you will create in the dream. It's amazing. So you are both, with reference to the dream world, both the efficient and the material cause of the dream world. So it's just an example. It doesn't prove anything. It's just an example to help us assimilate this statement by the Upanishad that this cause of the universe is both the intelligent cause, the efficient cause, and the material cause. But what are the implications of this? It is big. Because if the entire universe, the cause of the universe, okay, is also the material cause, just like in the dream world, nothing is away from this all knowledge and all power from Ishvara. Just like, what is the material cause of a pot? It's clay. Is there a place in the pot where clay is not? So in the same manner, in this universe, what you see here, all that is here is a manifestation of this Ishvara, pervaded, sustained, informed by this presence. Nothing but all knowledge and all power, all the way, everywhere, above, on the west, east, everywhere. The laws, the space, the time, everything is pervaded by this presence. Okay? So this is the nature of that. So now we have something which is interesting, because on one side we have this nature of the individual. So now we are coming to resolve the equation, okay? And I will end there. On one side, you have the nature of this individual, which I thought was only this limited, struggling individual, dissatisfied, and so on, limited in time and space. And we have come to understand that its intrinsic nature, its essential nature, is what? Is awareness, right? Self-evident awareness, never affected, unchanging, right? And on the other side now, so far, we have this Tat, which is this all intelligence and all power, pervading everything, in and through everything. So now how do I really make sense? Because still this equation doesn't make sense for me. So look at this now. I will use an analogy, again an analogy. See, any example or analogy is just to help us assimilate what the Upanishads are trying to show us. Okay? So analogy of the wave and the ocean. So what is it? The wave in the middle of the ocean, the individual in the middle of this vast universe. The frightened little wave, frightened and to be thinking about herself that she's mortal. And she's so small. And she's like suffering complexities. Oh, look at this big wave here. And I'm so tiny and so on. This is the wave. This is the individual. What is the ocean? It stands for Ishvara, right? From which all the universe has come. From which, by which everything is sustained and unto which everything resolves. So it's from the ocean that all the waves are born, are sustained. They are sustained by the ocean and they resolve into the ocean, right? So we have the wave and the ocean. And now this little wave is told by a guru wave, hey, you are the ocean. The little wave says, hey, I think you have something wrong. I think I can recommend you a good psychiatrist if you want. Then the guru wave shows him what? What is your essential reality, little wave? Don't you see that your form and this coming and going and so on of this form, of this little wave, is just incidental? And what is your essential nature? Water. Now, yes, okay, yeah, that's true. But now look at this. What is the, when I equate you to the ocean, what is the essential nature of the ocean? Water. Right? Look at this. So now we have to apply this to come to resolve this all intelligence and all power into awareness, right? Stands for the water here. So how do you do that? So it's very simple, in fact, very simple. Listen well. Just like at the individual level, from the standpoint of this individual, all these body and mind characteristics are changing conditions and all the time changing. In the same manner, at the level of Ishvara, this all intelligence and power in order to make the entire Jagat, the entire universe change, move, governing all the interactions at every second of billions and billions of humans, of so many parameters, temperature, the sun, the moon, the galaxies, the flow of the rivers, right? The changes in the mountains, the formation of clouds, of rains, the growing of the plants. All this knowledge and power is all the time changing. So that also is a incidental attribute of what? Of awareness. Right? There is one thing which is unchanging as well in the midst of all changes. And that I can appreciate because I am also part of this Jagat. And if the truth of myself is also the truth of the Jagat, I can appreciate, just like the wave can appreciate that the content of itself, which is water, has no boundaries. And it's unchanging. From one standpoint, the wave is born and will die. But from the standpoint of the water, does the water die or is it born at a given time? Does the water have a height, which is the height of the wave? No. In fact, it is infinite in space. See, this is the limitation of the example, okay? The water has no location. There is only water. And as though it is taken the form of a wave, right? From one standpoint, and from the other standpoint, it is assuming also as though, what? The form of the ocean. But it is free of both. And it's never affected by what is happening, both to the wave or to the universe of waves. Right? So this is the point of resolution. Wave equal ocean, tat equal to twam, twam is equal to tat. You, the individual, is equated to the cause of the universe. What is the resolving point? The essential nature of one side of the individual, which is awareness, which is limitless, as we have seen. And also, on the other hand, the essential nature of this all knowledge and all power, unchanging, non-affected by anything. And that is what you are. Right? This is how this sentence can make sense. Okay. So now I will end. I've taken a little bit time. I will just ask you some questions to initiate our discussion. What is your story of meaning? What is your life story about your place and the role, your role in this universe? Is it the story of the isolated, frightened, struggling little wave? Or is it the story of a wave which is connected to this large ocean and which has a sense of belonging to something bigger, to the whole? Or is it, while this story of the wave belonging to a greater world is true from a standpoint, another and maybe third standpoint could be you are infinite, limitless water, is awareness, which is manifesting at the wave in this beautiful universe, which is the ocean. Right? And you're enjoying being your waveness, enjoying living as a human being. Because you know that this waveness, this condition, the qualities of your body and mind and so on, are just incidental attribute. So you can freely enjoy as though being limited, because you know very well that you are water, manifesting in the form of this wave and also all the other waves, right? Therefore, you can live fully with freedom, with enthusiasm, with dynamism, and contribute, and with connection, right? So this is how I will end my talk here. There's a lot, okay? So I hope there are also questions now, okay? So thank you for being so patient.
Thank you, Dr. Tahora. That was truly, truly amazing. I mean, you've just kept us all completely enwrapped. You know, there are so many questions
Yes.
in the mind. We don't know where to start from. But let me start with Devraj's question here, saying, how does looking within ourselves help us to lead a more conscious and mindful life?
Yeah. So it's obvious, no? I mean, the idea is very simple. The question itself has its answer, which is usually we live, remember this ninja twam, okay? This ninja, reactive. They're driven by some impulsions, by some desires, which are binding. Unless this is accomplished, I will not feel well, right? And we live by some stories. And then, but we don't know that we are living by these stories. So the answer to this question is that, okay, if you become aware of the stories by which you are living, if you are aware of the thoughts which sometimes have some distortion, sometimes we conclude, yeah, then this world is random. People are mean and I cannot trust them. Or I am useless. I am nobody. Look at me compared to other. Or okay, yeah, I have something, but look at the other one. Right? And we live by all this without being aware of the impact that they have on us. So obviously, when you turn more and become aware of what is happening inside, right, you can shed and free yourself of what is not useful to you, right? Some stories of randomness, unfairness, that the people are mean, not trustworthy, it doesn't correspond to the reality, right? So the idea is not just to look inside, but see if it is corresponding to what is. So am I living in my own bubble of subjectivity, of conclusion, which are I'm living in my private bubble? Or am I living in touch with the world as it is, right? So obviously the answer is very, very easy, right? So there is great benefit in that, yeah? Being aware, yeah? Yes?
Right. Yeah. Dr. Tahora, there's one more question. I mean, sort of, you've given half the answer, and an extension to this is, between the understanding and the realization lies apparently an unsurmountable chasm of world appearance. How does one accelerate that experience of this realization? Or does one just have to wait with patience for it to happen?
See, there is no acceleration, okay? This acceleration, this is like all looking for being efficient, okay? This all engineering, let's say, kind of mindset. Also with reference to spirituality, I have to optimize everything. Just look at nature. Can you force the growth and the blossoming of a flower by pulling it, okay? Yeah, I know mangoes, you can artificially ripen them. Okay?
Right.
Now it's the season of Alfonso, okay? So we have already Alfonso coming, right? Is this what you want to do? So what do you want to do? Some psychedelic drugs? To have a feel of this oneness? No, okay? See, things of this magnitude and this immensity, as I have told, because the conclusions are so entrenched in us, right? About us being only that much, it takes time. So let it take the time it will take. Is it all in your hand? What is in your hand? Listen to the teaching, read, pray, work on yourself, be aware of your thoughts, your emotions, and so on, your mechanical patterns of behaving, right? Connect to this Ishvara through prayers, through chanting. Yeah. This is how you will grow. And this process of growth takes its own time. You are not able to control that and say, hey, I want this enlightenment now. Forget it. It's not in your hand. What is in your hand is reflect, ask questions, clarify your doubt, and prepare yourself and grow. And then slowly in time, this understanding will come, right? Very rarely, some people are prepared enough, mature enough, that there are some nice stories in the Upanishad where just a passerby, he was listening to some conversation between a guru and his shishya, and just listening, like for example, for this like 40 minutes, and he got it. He says, that's so true, yeah. I am limitless, and it is so clear, right? These are exceptions. So don't take the exception for a rule. In any higher learning, right? You want to understand E equal to mc squared? This is exactly the same, right? It's simple, and at the same time, it's very complex. So before going at this level of PhD in quantum physics or in general relativity, you have to go to university first, have your master's, equip yourself with mathematics and physics and so on, right? But here, what do you need to equip yourself with? Of course, some kind of intellectual, let's say, or cognitive capacity, yes. But that, let's say, it's a given. I am assuming with that, with the education system that we have, we're able to think through things. Okay, we have a certain logic in our mind. Okay, but now there are some other areas of ourselves that we need to develop, right? Emotions, for example, it's a big area. Now your capacity to have what is called pro-social behaviors, compassion, understanding, non-judgmental being people, right? Other area. Enlarge and widen your heart so you can accommodate anybody without feeling grumpy and feeling like resentful or angry, right? Even if the person is not doing what you want the person to do. So there is huge growth. Then there is another growth area, which is what? Making choices. Make sure that your choices of actions are aligned with Dharma. You don't hurt others in the process of trying to achieve things, which is, it's fine, achieve things, have ambition, but make sure it doesn't hurt anybody in the process, because it will also end you, and by hurting you, right? So there are so many areas of growth. So this is the growth. So acceleration, forget it. It takes time, and it can take a lifetime. You're in a hurry? Next life you will have also. And then if it's not, again. But some people have already done that in the past. So maybe you are one of them. You have already worked on yourself, and you're relatively now mature in some area. You have just to adjust a few other areas and be exposed to this teaching. And then, like fire, right? It will take, this insight will happen, right?
Dr. Tahora, do practices like yoga and meditation play a role in helping self-realize? And
Of
how?
course. Yeah, of course. Yoga. I mean, I am doing yoga. Everybody during our studies, everybody was doing yoga. Why? Because you need to be fit to be able to live as well as possible. To have a mind which is clear, the body has to be, let's say, fit. If you have a body which is paining while you are listening to classes or meditating or praying, you are not able to sit for, I know people who are not able to sit 5 minutes because their back is paining. Right? So please take care of your body. It's not because this body is an incidental attribute that you don't have to care for it. In fact, the body is given to you, and the mind also, as a vehicle, right? As the chariot. There is a beautiful imagery in Katha Upanishad, right? And you are going in a journey with your chariot, with the horses, which are all these sensors, your reins, which are all this, the mind, and your ability to say, hey, I want to go this side, not just be driven by the follies of your horses. And the chariot itself, if the chariot is in bad condition, where will you go? So it's the starting point. So please take care of your diet. Please take care of your health, what you're eating, right? But now, don't make it the obsession. I see people who are totally obsessed and who are totally in that. So find a good balance. Put them at their place. Don't let this consume you totally. And take all your time, okay? But take care of your body. Meditation, obviously. Meditation for what? To have a mind which is able to stay, which is absorbed and tranquil enough to be able to contemplate. Contemplate upon what you have heard when you're going into classes or you're reading. What the Upanishad is saying, it requires a mind which is able to focus and stay on the subject matter, to dwell upon what is said, right? An agitated mind will not be able to do that. So obviously, very important, right? So all these practices are useful, but don't think that by meditating, you will get this knowledge. No. Meditation will prepare you to have a mind which is able to contemplate, which will give you the space to manage your emotions and so on, to look at all your stories. But by itself, it cannot produce this knowledge, right? The knowledge, if you meditate upon something that you don't know, what will you meditate upon? So again, meditation has its place, and a very important place in the tradition. Yoga also. But put it at its right place. Right? So meditation in Vedanta is has two parts. One is relating to Ishvara, right? So Saguna Brahma Manasa Vyapara. Saguna Brahma Vishaya Manasa Vyapara. This is how we define dhyana. Okay? So a mental activity which has as object what? Saguna Brahma, Ishvara, the cause of the universe, right? So it can be in the form of prayer or doing japa, right? But mental, not like doing a puja with all your physical limbs and so on, or chanting loudly. This is not called dhyana. But if you do the same thing purely mentally, mental puja, for example, or you do japa, but only quietly, silently, then it becomes dhyana. Or a free flow prayer, centered upon your connection with Ishvara, dhyana. So this is one aspect of meditation, according to Vedanta. Second aspect is when this mind has been able to be relatively pacified and tranquil, and is able to spend enough time with itself, then he's able to contemplate upon what? Aham Brahmasmi. I am Sachidananda. I am Asangaha, Asangoham. I am unaffected. I am Aham Purnaha, Purnoham. I am full and complete. Nityoham. I am not subject to time. And so on. And this supports of contemplation You understand that if you just say, yeah, oh, I am full and complete, without having been exposed to the teaching, nothing will happen, right? And if your mind is like all over and your body is paining, nothing will happen, right? So in order to assimilate, make your own this teaching, right, at a deep level, then this contemplation, which is called nididhyasanam, is really very important. Okay, it's another form of meditation. So of course they are very important. Yeah. Yes.
Yes, I think Dr. Tahora, that quite answers the question. Also, I mean, there's another question here saying they say that by controlling the prana, you can control the mind and therefore are one step closer to liberation by conquering your mind. Is this true?
Yeah. I see. This is like the breathing is connected both to your body and also to your mind. Okay, and it's simple biology. Okay, by just watching your breathing or doing some pranayama, which is like balancing and the overall, let's say, parasympathetic and sympathetic system, Inda and Pingala, okay, in yogic terms, right? What happens is that the whole system comes to be more balanced, right? So that is amazing, because then you will be quieter, right? So breathing can help. Okay, some practices, everybody knows when you're a little bit angry and so on, you can do some breathing. Some Just watch your breathing or do some kind of breathing which is insisting on a longer time on exhalation, and then your system will cool down, right? So yes, yeah, you can help yourself with that, but that's not enough. That is just for you to enable you to manage your emotions. And it's necessary to have a certain mastery over your mind and emotion to be prepared when the teacher is speaking about what I have spoken during 50 minutes, 45 minutes, then it clicks, right? So it's an indirect way. By preparing your mind, you're preparing yourself to understand what is said by the teacher. But just by doing, again, see, you have to put it at its place. Just by doing some pranayama, you will not get enlightened. Okay? Let us be clear about that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Tahora. Here, I mean, we've got such nice comments here saying I was struggling with how to believe what was evident to me intellectually. You have explained so nicely that it is getting closer and easier to believe. Thank you. Yeah. And
Nice.
with that, yeah.
So it's not about belief, it's about seeing. See, the person has got some insight, okay? This is the power of the words of this teaching. When somebody has with him the methodology of the teaching, and really here, I didn't do the justice, I had only a very short time. But when you have leisurely, you're exposing yourself to the teaching, then it's insights all the time. It's amazing how it can open. It's not about believing, it's about seeing what is said, because these words have the power to make you see something which is already there and which is your reality and which is already accomplished. Remember, the wave, even though she was believing it was only this and struggling, in fact, it was already water. So the words of the Upanishad are just making you see something which is already there. There is no belief here. Okay.
With that, we'd like to thank you very much for your time, Dr. Tahora. It was truly an insightful session, very, very thought-provoking, as some of the comments that have come in. And we look forward to having you again. And as they say in French, je vous remercie. I don't know whether I've got it right, but I'm learning that.
Perfect. I mean, nice accent. I don't know where you got it from, but it's very nice. So, merci beaucoup. So thanks a lot for your organization. Thanks a lot, Anjali, for having invited me. I mean, it was a pleasure. And let's see what we can do. Okay?
Thank you. And thank you, dear audience, for your patient listening and for your participation and all the comments and good wishes for us. So good night. See you. Sayonara. Khuda Hafiz. See you next week.
Namaste. Bonne nuit.
Yes.